Hello, everyone, and welcome to Chasing the Puck Live, another episode. Welcome. Hope you've had a really good weekend hockey-wise. It's been a fun week, plenty to talk about as always. Some things that have happened that we didn't think was going to happen in a very long time this weekend, which was obviously great. Congratulations to Manchester Storm, 4-point weekend, of course. One of the key things there, but also we had a goalie fight. Absolutely really good to see a goalie fight in the Elite League. And that's obviously been a very big one for everyone talking about the last couple of days or so. There's lots of things that have happened as well. So thank you very much for the questions that you've sent throughout the week, and everything that obviously you guys have done has been a really big help. As always, don't forget to like and subscribe if you've not already. It's always greatly appreciated, and leaving us a review and comments. And of course, the chat is open as always. So, drop in your questions, drop in your thoughts, and we'll read out as many as possible. So without further ado, the first thing that everyone really wanted conversation-wise to talk about while we're at it is, Fife versus Belfast. Saturday night, hockey night. Obviously, it's great to see Fife back on the ice, considering what happened to the roof the previous week with the winds. And, we posted the videos and everyone saw the damage that they were done. So it was great that they were able to repair it and get back on the ice as quickly as possible in the circumstances. So you look at that game, really tough one for Fife, not being on the ice for such a prolonged period of time. The injuries, the players short on the bench, Johnny Curran doing a lot of hard work with Todd in the background, trying to get the team playing as the best that they possibly can, and also put themselves in an ideal opportunity, really, to try to amass as many points. Because, looking at the table currently, it's not a great position for them in the league, if we be brutally honest. The timeline of events with everything and the points that they've amassed. It's kind of one of those circumstances where you kind of look at it and you think, they've got 8 points. To be fair, the teams that they've took them off is mightily impressive as well when you look at it. But, Saturday night, normal service kind of starts off the way it normally does. Belfast come into town and ride roughshod for most of the majority of the game. And you kind of look at the scoreline as it comes in, and you're just kind of thinking, is it damage limitation with the way that they're playing and an opportunity? And you kind of think that's 2 points easily on the board. But, credit where credit's due. I think this is the thing, is that you look at the way that teams played in the last couple of weeks and that never say die attitude and the opportunities that they've had as a team, And I know a lot of people were saying on social media, mainly the Sheffield fans being most pleased with the result, the way the tide turned, and we're cheering on Fife to either get a point or snatch a victory. And I don't think it's that, if I'm honest. I think there is a lot of kinship for all fan bases, really, not just in the Elite League but around UK hockey, is that they can see the plight that Fife is in. And we've been guilty of it, is that you want them to get through the season best ability that they possibly can do to finish with a respectable scoreline. No one really wants to finish the season with the lowest points total that has been since the Elite League has taken shape and taken form, and it's a really big tough one. But credit to them, 5-1 to go to 5-5. A couple of weeks ago, I think that would have been a game that would have just been written off, and the game is a little bit different and tough. So got a jersey. It's not the Maple Leafs jersey for this week. It is Stuttgart Rebels, Del 3 side. If you're a hockey fan down that neck of the road, it's an interesting jersey, really nice. So everyone has a German team. I have to start wearing different jerseys now because obviously as a neutral you can't really wear certain jerseys that I had in my collection previously that I had, and obviously it's a nice jersey. No, that's the thing, is one of the credit that you kind of see when you're watching all these leagues throughout the UK, throughout the world, is the different designs and different jerseys that are brought forth into the groups. And that's my jersey of the week. So something different. It is blue and yellow, so no black and gold if anyone's thinking that. But yeah, I mean, Fife, credit to them. They're playing not with a swagger, but they're playing obviously with the confidence they've coming through and with a mindset and a group that they are, having that ample opportunity to, play the way they want to, alleviate the pressure. I think that's the thing is that, when you look at the teams at the top, any point that is dropped is, well, I think we've seen it this week with some of the questions that I'm going to cover, that it's, doom and gloom end of the world when a team loses 2 points against a team in the Elite League. But, credit to Fife, really, really great performance. And, the what if scenarios of how things happen in that game. But, you get it back onto level pegging. And, there's a couple of goals that couldn't go in that they'll probably want back. I think that's the thing, that when confidence is low and you're grabbing the stick hard and, chances don't fall, the puck doesn't fall where you want it to, it's levels, really small levels where they kind of look at it. And, a team with confidence probably wouldn't have conceded those goals and they would have pushed on to win. But Fife are just doing what they can do. That, short bench, the imports, the two ways, and the circumstances that kind of do it, it's going to be a lot of a harder push. But you're probably thinking, you're talking about a game there that obviously Belfast probably won by a margin that they didn't fully expect. Why have you started on this game? Well, it's what happened after the game that, as the buzzer goes, really, where something that's happened that I haven't seen recently. I mean, seen it in other leagues and videos that you kind of hope that, one day it'll happen. I mean, we've kind of done it where we were going to kind of put it on the bingo card as a full season one, where we were looking at, goalie goal, goalie fight. And we did, we finally got one. I mean, obviously, Morris got the instigator, skating the length to go towards Jackson Whistle. And of course, the videos kind of, credits everyone who sent us about 9 different versions of the same fight. Takes a lot of credit for people to send those videos in, especially with not being in Fife in the occasion when it happened. So that's probably one of the big takeaway for a lot of people, that everything that you do send, we do appreciate it, and keep sending them in. We love it. We can get in as much content as we possibly can. Always greatly appreciated. But yeah, I mean, it wasn't setting the world alight. It wasn't a brawl they wanted to do. The officials wanted to stop it. But I think probably the fun thing when you watch the video back is how the players just stop what they're doing and just soak it in and take it in and just conjugate together to watch the show. Exactly how we felt, really, in the circumstances. And it's great to see, obviously a game ban for the Coventry game, where, in hindsight, probably Shane Owen would have played on that Sunday anyway, but take the hit. But it kind of galvanizes the group and see that, they're fighting from goalkeeper position, defense and offenses positions as well, that, it's a highlight of the season so far. I know we're only in 2025, so I almost said highlight of 2025, but still early days. There's probably going to be plenty of more circumstances that we see, but, it was a win. Really good win for Belfast. The teams around them, Cardiff, Nottingham and Sheffield, kind of had to keep up with the performance that they have to do with that, but we'll kind of get to that later. So really good result for them on the Saturday. The other game and the other question really was about Saturday as well, and it was with relation to Cardiff and Pride. So if no one saw it, the build up to the game, on the information that Cardiff was kind of putting on social media, stuff like that, was, we get it, we've told Panthers to bring the right jersey, because, we've seen it before where, the home team plays in the home colours, the away team playing away colours. It's that kind of, people always ask me this and say it must have been on social media plenty of times, but the argument is, I mean, how many people don't just default and pack a bag knowing that they're going to an away game with an away kit? So credit to Devils, they kind of made a laugh, made a joke with relation to it and how it was going to pan out, with making sure that the right team had the right kit for the right game, so no colour clashes and, you know, the rigmarole of ruining Pride Night with having the wrong kit. And, you know, very big advocate of, you know, Pride nights for all the teams that have kind of done them, and kind of, you know, really great jerseys across the line that's been created and generated for these events. And, you know, from performance wise, you know, first time I did predictions for 2025, kind of had it as Cardiff to get the win. Got a bit of stick on social media for that. Obviously calling me a traitor for not showing a bias between one particular team to the next because of my geographical location. But, you know, I kind of thought it, you know, this is the thing. Panthers win at home. Devils seem to get the number back when they play in their home rink against Panthers. So it was a prediction. It was wrong. You know, take that one on the chin. I think most of them were wrong, actually. So not really great predictions. We'll try that again next week, see how that turns out. But, you know, it was a really, really good game. You know, watching those two teams fight together, playing. This is the thing, really, where you watch a Devils Panthers game, you know what you're going to get. It's going to be an exciting game. You know, there was a couple of instances last time that they played that, you know, they weren't happy with some decisions, the goals going in and everything like that. But as we keep saying, that there's a lot of these games really where, especially within the top four bracket, where they are highlights to watch. And, you know, we've said about the games that if you could pick and choose them, you know, Cardiff, Steelers, Giants, Panthers, Steelers, and, you know, every variation of those four together. Most games have action points, pressure points, and are really good and excitable to watch. Obviously, the key thing that people really wanted to ask was what were my thoughts about what happened with the shirt off the back. So, bit of a backtrack with, obviously, if you don't know what happened, just let you know. So, the Devils posted on the screen the shirt off the back for the full team Pride jerseys to let people know, and posted those so people could check the tickets, as you know every team does and every game does at a certain point of aspects of the game. But unfortunately, what had transpired is they put the wrong photo up, the wrong information with the wrong numbers during that period of time, which, you know, in hindsight, you know, you look at numbers. I mean, you know, I always check my shirt off the back tickets, never win. And you start looking at the first couple of numbers and you realize you don't win, and then you either tear them up or you throw them in the bin. So that happened. You know, people threw them in the bin, didn't think they win, thought nothing of it, until obviously it transpired that, you know, the information got out within the arena that the wrong numbers were produced. They were from a different show off the bat raffle. Some people kind of thought it with the numbers that they had that it didn't kind of fall in line with what was being posted. So some people get hold of them. And then obviously, as it transpired, people started rummaging through the bins, looking at people's tickets that have been disposed of and been taken away. So the caveat really for me is, one thing that you've got to credit is that, you know, people laugh about statements that come out on social media. But to Devil's credit, they actually were really, really clever and got a statement out very quickly and brought that to people's attention straight away. Obviously, the caveat really is that people were just very unhappy with everything that transpired. You know, the thing is that we shut off the back, you know, people can pay by card or people pay by cash. Cash is king. But, you know, this isn't a receipt business. You don't buy a 50-50 ticket and you don't buy a shirt off the back ticket. You know, no one puts it on the back of said ticket. You know, this was purchased by this person. You sign it like a raffle in a different aspect. It's not great, if I'm honest. You know, you've got to look at it down the line really and think, you know, of all the circumstances that actually happened. You know, it sucks for the people. You know, if you had a winning ticket, I mean, I don't write down what tickets I've got. I have them in my hand. If I don't win, I don't win, and then they're bin straight away. So I'm in that bracket as well. You see the numbers, you don't think anything of it, and then they kind of transpire, and then you throw it away. Strange, you know, that obviously people went through the bins, but I mean, what can you really do? Is that, you know, should they have realised that they put a mistake out and told people they made a mistake on the night, keep hold of your tickets and we'll release the numbers at a later date. Don't release any jerseys. I mean, hindsight is a wonderful thing, really. If you can all look at it and you think, is this the best thing that we could have done? Could we have done something differently? Could we have, it's done when it's not, it's not ideal for those people that might have won, that have brought a lot of money to those events, especially for a jersey that was so profoundly popular that people, saw posts, people saying how much they actually put in for ticket sales, really, because you see a high lot of people that have sent it, and it's a no-win situation. Obviously they announced that the money was going to be donated straight away in full. Seeing people on social media that saying they wanted their money back, they should have that choice. You should be offering refunds or anything like that. And logistically, I carry cash with me when I buy my 50-50 tickets and show off the back when I go to arenas. So even then, obviously, if you've got cash receipt and everything like that, that's a different thing. But is one magnitude of people that can do it. But it's tough. I mean, it's tough in the short term because obviously a lot of people will be angry and mistrust with what happened. But then obviously the repercussions are what happens now is that are people going to not buy straight off the bat tickets? So they're not going to buy 50-50 tickets in the games. They're going to boycott them, or are they going to, obviously see a dip in sales? And that's obviously a tough one to manage. But, in the circumstances, get the statement out, get it under control as best they can. Yes, there's going to be rumblings of dissatisfaction. Of course there will be, because it's not a situation that anyone wanted. It wasn't done in malice. It wasn't done intentionally. I get files sent to me and, I posted things that are not accurate, or I've renamed something thinking, okay, that's there, but I've done the wrong date or the wrong month or the wrong player of the month. But, you own up to those mistakes. Deleting is cheating, but especially in a circumstance like that, it's not something that they post on social media that could be rapidly deleted. It was something that, the announcement comes, check your tickets. People did. People disposed of them. People went in the bins to check them. And this is the thing, is that if someone is adamant what tickets they had and they had a photo identification, because some people do. Some people get tickets, so it's easier to rather rummage through. If you bought 50 quid worth of tickets, you're not going to scroll through 50 tickets. You're going to have them written down, or you're going to have them screenshotted or anything like that. People do it in very different ways. But that's the thing, is that you look at it where people were saying, I had this number, I would have won this jersey. And the people that have claimed for them, it's a very tough thing. It's a very small community within hockey where people know each other and stuff like that. So it's probably tough, for those people that will win, especially with the limited replicas that there would be. You can't really wear said jersey around it without that level of people being suspicious, being apprehensive and, challenging. So I think the biggest thing, obviously it's a mistake. They've kind of rectified what they can do in the circumstances. I think the biggest thing really is that, it was a really good point that someone posted on social media, is that the people that are going to hit this worse next time the Devils play at home is going to be the 50-50 sellers, the volunteers that, do their job for the club out of the goodness of their own heart to help and support the club. And they are going to be the face of circumstances like that. So if you're listening and you're a Devils fan, these people are not to blame. They did not do anything. So, obviously still interact with them, still buy your tickets from them, and just remember that they're fans like you are as well. So in those circumstances, it's not a great situation. I completely admit that and freely. If I had a ticket and I was a Devils fan and, I thought I won and found out that I didn't, this is a guy who's not won 50-50. So I haven't got that much skin in the game. But it's a tough one. And obviously it doesn't help that the result wasn't great on Saturday as well. This is obviously what people are saying about the Conti Cup. This drop down in quality and the results that have not gone their way since they've actually lifted the tray, the cup, whatever variation you want to say. But, the Conti Cup, they obviously have a lot of injuries. They have a lot of players that have not really had the ample opportunity with injuries and playing a lot of games over a short period of time. And then obviously people's caveat for that is that it was a home competition, extra couple of games, really. They shouldn't be feeling the after effects of it. which kind of leads me to Sunday. So, a precursor for the Challenge Cup on Wednesday. It was the Devils versus Steelers. So at the game on Sunday, and there's always that level of apprehension really when you're playing a team on a Sunday, playing them on a Wednesday, back to back. What choices were they going to do? Were they going to do Bounds or Carruth in nets? 4 lines that they're able to produce. Bailey Harewood was in attendance as well for Devils, icing. Great to see a Brit playing for the Devils. Not had a chance to see him, but obviously seeing how good he's been for the Pitbulls this season and the points that he's been amassing. So actually him to pick up a lot of ice time throughout the game was actually really a big highlight for me. But, from a game, Steelers played on Saturday against Clan, long trip up, long trip back, probably early hours of Sunday morning that they probably returned back to Sheffield to play a game at 4:00 on a Sunday. So, I think from a performance point of view, it's one of those games, playing a team at the top that's kind of in your rivals in that 4-horse race, which we spoke about last week, where, first goal is vital, from a performance. And obviously with the Steelers over the last couple of weeks, performances that they've done is having a good start. And, good start was what it was really. And, you kind of see people over the last couple of weeks that have been critiquing the productivity of Robert Dowd. And, that miffs me. What he does on the puck and off the puck is probably one of the, real big pro things that you kind of see, and you watch those moments in isolation and what he actually brings to the team when he's on the ice and off the ice as a leader, and also what he can produce as well. And really great finish to make it 1-0. And, second goal, I saw a lot of people saying that, Bounds shouldn't be conceding from that position, really, how far out Cormier was. And this is the thing with Ben Bounds, he's a hell of a top netminder. And, he probably wants that one back. Of course, there's always a few of those moments where they do look at that. And, it's a team that, chances-wise, first period, as we know, we do a recording when we can do for the game day vlogs and, get videos if there's a fight or any dramas or feistiness or shenanigans. And I'll be honest, I didn't really get to record much for Devils attacking in the offensive zone for the first period. It just seemed very blasé, very lackluster. There was a couple of chances, but everything, that was thrown Greenfield's way just didn't, hit the mark, really. And it was a strange one because it was a shorter performance from the first period for the Steelers, really well done, but it just kind of felt flat, really, for the Devils. And that's the thing, is that, people kind of kept asking me yesterday, is that, is this game going to be kind of what you think of how Wednesday's going to go? And obviously it's a very different kettlefish semi-final and different, a couple of days rest and everything that kind of goes in there. But it just, it kind of looked like a very assured performance, defensively and offensively for the Steelers. There's a couple of moments where, that no-look pass in the defensive zone that people have been kind of, it worked last year. It's, still have moments where people have got their hands in their mouth thinking something's going to go wrong. But, get it. They pushed, created a couple of chances, could have made it 3. Puck was pretty much off the line when it was there. Second kind of went away, and then obviously finished the job with Watlin as well. There was a couple of flash points that just kind of after the puck, talking, which is always good. Obviously, the roughing 2 for 2 and Valley as well. We got the video of that, and obviously, people were asking, why did Valley get roughing on that? And the kind of video shows that he just kind of throw a couple of punches there, and won't repeat what kind of people his comments were about the gloves being stuck on and everything like that. But you got to look at that as a really, really good performance, especially coming back the way they did on Saturday, and then having that ample opportunity, really convincing win on a Sunday where a team that, this is where the points you've got to pick up. And looking at the numbers, really, it's not that much of a swing for any of the 4 teams, really. Whoever's at the top now in Belfast, there is an opportunity with one weekend kind of just takes that lead away. and puts it into a driving seat for another team. And, circumstances is that's actually a really good thing to see. So great. Which obviously kind of leads me, that question. Someone kind of brought in the question: is Matt Greenfield the GOAT? I mean, shutout, great performance, great Eddie. Again, if he's not wanting to be a netminder, he's got a hell of a shot on him as well. So could be a forward as well. Tans has kind of slipped into that forward role. Maybe Greenfield's next. Maybe he'll get a goal if he can finish like that. But no, I mean, that's the thing is that, for me, I spoke to Karina briefly about the netminders that have kind of been at the Steelers, the people that she's had the opportunity to see, Jed Lenman and Duba, and, all those names that she's seen throughout the year. And this is the thing is that if you can find a netminder that kind of brings it, you've got to look at it, Belfast, with Besco. And you've got to look at, Panthers had it as well. If you can get that netminder that can win you points and deliver on top performances, I mean, you've got to think, Greenfield, how many games he's played this season and played, he's been injured, came back and has performed at a really top level. And is he the GOAT for the Steelers? I mean, that's probably a question for the fans really to answer more than me, if I'm honest. But, you've got to admire it. There's been a lot of netminders that have kind of brought something to the game. He's calm, assured, and, delivers. And when you've got someone like that, it kind of just, going against Cardiff and getting a shutout with the firepower that they have, regardless of the Conti Cup or the form or anything like that, you've just got to say, even if on your worst day, he delivers so well and performs to such a high level consistently, because that's the thing, consistency is key, is that you have these netminders that obviously, the saying that fascinates me is, when they stand on their head and they deliver such a performance, but one in every couple of weeks isn't, the ideology. If you want to be challenging for a title, and, this is obviously a Steelers team where, Grand Slam last year, fighting for all competitions, that's probably going to make or break a lot of performances this year. If it's a close game and, there's one goal in it, which netminder would you want to choose to have in the net to get you that second goal? Because that's the thing really, is that, him being in the net is worthy of a goal sometimes, is that, we know Steelers can score, but them conceding as often as they did, there has been games where they've conceded more than they did in the last couple of years, but he kind of brings that home and brings a really, really good performance. So if he keeps at that, he's going to go as one of the best ever. I mean, biggest question is, if they haven't locked him down, I'm sure they'll want to lock him down for a few more years, if he's got it in the system. But, really, really great netminder, valuable performance as well. And I think the plaudits that he's been getting deserves it. He's probably one of the most humble people that you get to speak to, and, a really good person to chat with. So really good for him, really great performance, great Eddie. Still waiting for them to do a flying V, but obviously it's going to come. But, nice continuation, connective tissue that they did with Usla being in net, and then vice versa on the Eddies, which do fascinate me, if I'm honest. But, really great performance for them. And they go into Wednesday probably with the confidence now, but, on the added onus of that is that Devils are probably hurting with the performance of the last couple of games, and will have a point to prove over two legs. A lot of people have kind of brought in with the Challenge Cup about, why did Giants pick Panthers? Should they have picked the Devils with the form that they've been in? Steelers are looking at a situation really where playing a team that can turn it on the head. Belfast can perform, which they have been doing. Obviously, they're probably disappointed with the way that the game finished on Sunday. But, all four teams, it's kind of... it's weird because I could make a case for any of the four teams to be a finalist and win. it's the thing, it's the most exciting. People might complain about the format on the Challenge Cup and how many games there is, and pick your opponent in the semi-final, the buy-in, all those added natures. But I would happily say that there is four teams that could easily get through to the final, and it's going to be an exciting. It's one of those things where you look at it and you advocate that they are. You want to sell it. Everyone's kind of saying, these pay-per-view events and the games that matter, and they're going to be barn burners. The nicest way is that I think there's going to be a lot of action, game management as well. But I'm looking forward to every single game that's coming from that semi-final, and who obviously, if you're listening to this on repeat or anything like that, those games have actually, first sets would have actually happened, and they'll be in a position where you kind of have a clearer picture than me exactly what's going to happen, what's going to go on. But it's a difficult one for the Giants. It's a difficult one for Panthers, Devils, Steelers. These games you kind of hope that they're kind of not taken out of the equation by an officiating decision, a goal going in, or some drama that happens that is an issue. But then obviously game management fits in. If you take a 2-3-0 lead from the first leg and take it, that's when game management sets in, and it'll be a different kind of game. But that very first game, like a boxer, just coming out the corner, doing what they need to do, and obviously feeling on the performance. No one really wants to concede. You don't want it to be finishing the first leg before even the second has began, and going from such a deficit that you've got to go all out from the very beginning. But if you've got a ticket and you haven't already, these two games are going to be really great games. So I'm excited for those as well. So looking at the other questions, so Manchester Storm was one of them. Last week we kind of said that, it hasn't been a great couple of weeks, losing streak for the Storm. We kind of threw in jokingly on the bingo card to Storm win a game, and they won two. So 2025, we put 5 win a game and Storm win a game. So if we had £1 for every time we did that and they won a game, I would have £2. So it's not much, but obviously it's kind of worked in our favour, really, where I know it's a bit of fun. It's it's not anything malicious with doing that. It's just if you want to win, normally it's higher a fin, but want to win, go on the bingo card, and good things happen. But really, really good performance. Tendek, this is probably another example, really, with Jason Grande as well for Panthers, is that mid-season pickup for netminders. It's a lottery, bringing somebody in that might have not played. The reasons why they haven't played, they want new surroundings, they want to come in and, perform well. And, he's came in, perform well and kind of put in the position. Clan probably looked like they were going to get the 2 points on Sunday. But, credit Storm, for them to come out over the last week with, what was said the previous weekend in the interviews, the apologies to fans, and the staff are trying their hardest to give a team and a performance that people can be proud of. The proof in the pudding is actually coming out and delivering that, which they did. And it was obviously a commendable performance, really, Blaze are not a team that, you can rest on your laurels lightly. Clan as well, they might be having their problems and not performing they want to, but they are, a team that on their day can perform really, really well. So they do that absolutely fine. And, to get 4 points, it's when you look at the breakdown of the table, with the couple of teams, the top 4, the middle pack, and then it's there. I mean, there's a lot of hockey still to be played. Can Fife make a massive run between now and the end of the season to get that 8th spot? But Storm have still got that opportunity. That teams, if they go on a bit of a run, they kind of got Clan and Stars there that they just want to piggyback and just obviously take over that position, really, to get that final playoff space. I mean, admittedly, talking about playoffs in February, but it's going to be tough. You really want to get as many points as you want on the boards, because whoever finishes first, second, third, and that level there, it's going to be really tough places to be. And, that 4th, 5th game and as well. So, they've done really, really well. Storm, credit to them. There was a lot of fight. There was a lot of desire as well from them on the board, which you think about it is that, that's probably something that's been lacking over the last couple of weeks. But have they turned a corner? 2 games on a weekend, coming from 4 points where they've not been winning any games for a bit of a small patch. You've got to credit them where credit's due. And, looking at the horizon, someone asking about this new multipurpose arena, we spoke about it last week about, the budgetary, having a bigger rink and money coming through. It's probably an exciting time over the next couple of years, what they can deliver and what they can bring through. But for this season, it's a step in the right direction. Really good for them. Really happy they were able to do that. And this is probably the thing is that, everyone had this situation where everyone was looking at it thinking about, only the same teams are winning. It's kind of getting boring. It's getting a bit of a foregone conclusion, especially with one Grand Slam team and then a second Grand Slam team back to back. A lot of teams are recruited well and have on their day players that can make a hell of a difference with how they perform and deliver. And this is the thing is there's a lot of teams now. There's a lot of hockey to be played, and people are looking about who's playing who and who's playing what. But I think there's a lot of much more of a point share this year, where teams aren't just going. It's that foregone conclusion that you're going to get 2 points. You can go to a game, and if you're not on your best, that teams can punish you. And everyone saw it last week. Guildford, played Panthers on the Friday. They did. Well, how short bench they were, lots of goals, and probably not happy with how that kind of turned out. But then obviously they turned that performance on a Sunday where for the first time in a very long time that they're able to beat Steelers at home on their Pride night. And you think this is the thing now is that everyone's thinking, well, Panthers only have to play Steelers a couple of times. Giants only have to play Steelers a couple of times. Devils. Giants, but there's still people in the equation where, a Coventry, a Guildford, a Storm, Stars, Clan, Fife, all those other teams that are there as well have a point to prove and also will probably shape how the table finishes at the end of the season. Because I feel like there's going to be some teams that are going to drop some points against teams that they truly expect to win and beat. And that's probably going to make it more interesting for everyone going forward. How that looks, and we'll be here for it. I mean, Sunday for Belfast. Let's have a look. Weekend Scotland trip away. Probably that little scare against Fife on Saturday to lose as many goals as like that, and then obviously finish the game the way they did to go again straight away. And you've got to credit Dundee. I mean, I was looking at my phone and just saw it went 1, it went 2, and then call of a timeout. And then, they get the one goal game. And then you think, the way that Giants play, yes, thank you very much. Now they're going to collect the points and obviously get into a winning position and then just take all that hard work that Dundee did and then just end the game, either in overtime or in regulation by getting a couple of goals and do it. But, credit Stars as well. They were really, really a talented team, and that's the thing when it all clicks for them and it does really, really well. They're fully deserved. Another team, got a 4-point weekend. It just so many 4-point weekends. On the bingo card, I could have picked anyone that got through, but obviously, whoever comes first, kind of circle it so it's out of the equation. But Stars are a really good team. I like them. Net minding. I know there was a little bit of critiquing last month when didn't include their netminder because obviously they're in the final 6, but they didn't make it into the final 4, and it was a degree that he was robbed. But looking at it, they're scoring really, really well, playing some really, really good hockey, and I'm actually looking forward to seeing them play again, really, because they do seem to raise their game and perform really, really well. And they might not be spoken about as much as the other teams, if I'm honest. They kind of fly under the radar, especially with Stars, flying under a radar. But, they have a really good team. They obviously set up really well. They've some really good mid-season acquisitions that have come through to injuries and performing well. And, they can score. They can dominate a game when they can do. It's obviously just that consistency again, where I think that's what a lot of teams are kind of not hitting, that mark where I've said this, from a gambling point of view, if you were obviously betting on games and results, and with my shocking prediction record, is it's not easy picking who's going to win a game this season. There's the road blokes, Belfast and the Ascendancies. They were, Devils, Panthers, that kind of mix where, you know, on their day they can just obviously perform top tier and really to a high volume, and that's where we're kind of sticking at the moment. And it's a really, really good season in the Elite League. I think obviously it's probably one of the best that I've seen so far this season compared to others because, there isn't that kind of one team to rule them all. Who would have thought Lord of the Rings reference would be thrown in? But, it's that I still think, there's ample opportunity for, playoffs. Someone can hit a run of form. League is not sewn up. Giants are where they want to be at this moment in time. It's obviously up to the chasing pack how they obviously proceed and respond. But, the point swing can easily be taken away. Some of the teams have a really bad weekend and another consistently does really, really well. Then, we're having a different conversation, really. But there's still a lot of hockey to play, as they always say. So there's a chance, Belfast still where they need to be. This free fall, this idea of Devils, it's a weird one because obviously people's reaction to that, meltdown, if you want to call it that way, is a strange one to me. Is that, I'll level with you, is that if a team winning a trophy, a European trophy that's only been done once before by the Panthers in the Elite League by UK teams, is that I'd be honest with you, if you take away, Belfast with the recent success they've had, same with the Steelers, and looking at that, Panthers with the Elite Series, trophies wise, I think, a Blaze, a Storm, Guildford, Stars, Clan, Fife, they'll probably bite their hand off to obviously have that trophy success and have that, I get that, there's that measurement of success that, Devils want to have. They've got a coach in now that obviously has recruited well, has got them playing well. And, we were talking about it before Christmas where they were going in as favourites. Let's not take away, obviously, how the Conti Cup changed anyway. But they were playing really, really good hockey. These are the same players. This is the same team. It just cannot fathom how it's kind of just gone to this situation where it's just gone rather volatile over a short space of time and period of time with a couple of games. Attendance-wise, there wasn't really many away fans on Sunday for them that travelled up to Sheffield. Completely understand on a Sunday evening, travelling back, 7 o'clock, 8, 11, 12, that they'll be getting back. It would have been nice to see more fans there. Hopefully there'll be more fans there on Wednesday when they play, make it a really good atmosphere as well. But, for me, Devils aren't in freefall. They're not performing. They're in a dip. Every team's going to have a dip between now and the end of the season. It's obviously how quick they come back and how quick, obviously, they can find what the root of the problem is and performing. Looking at it is that, Bounds played on Sunday. Will it be Cruyff on Wednesday? And, how they're going to set up. Are they going to change the lines again? And how they're going to play with it going forward there. Absolutely fine. No one's going to really argue with a response to that. But I don't think they're in freefall. So looking at that there. So a lot of people have kind of just obviously been talking about the fights over the last couple of weeks and been talking about, are we seeing a return to old school hockey? And is that a good thing? I mean, it's a very mixed bag, fights sell tickets. I've always been an advocate of most people that aren't a fan, the first thing that they, apart from drinking, while they're watching a game, which is a added bonus, they always want to know, they always ask me, is there lots of fighting? And, it's a mixed game. I get that, there's not that kind of Ice Guardians, that player that's been brought solely in to be the sheriff and be a player that just drops the gloves at every opportunity, and that's just what they amass penalty minutes by just doing that and doing that. But a lot of people have capable fighters within the group, and in the circumstances like that, they do drop them. And if we're honest, for me, once there's a fight, it's kind of, it's all hands on deck because everyone wants to see what happened. Everyone wants to see the before, the during, and after, and it's a talking point, and it always is. Is people want to see it? A lot of people, say they don't, they don't want it in the sport or whatnot. I think a lot of people actually do enjoy it, and I'm one of them. It's kind of that thing where you see it. I think one thing that I've kind of learned in the last year or so is seeing when it's happening. Is that before I was very on the back foot, but now I'm just very much like, this is coming, this is coming. I've been wrong from time to time, but obviously you can kind of see it when it's brewing, the officiating or anything like that, the decisions, and you can just see the players just getting built up, that pent up frustration that want to release it. And, I don't think it's going to go back to the old days. I don't think there's going to be, the battle of Parliamentary, that we've had recently. But back in, oh God, that's the anniversary soon, actually. I think it's Sunday. But yeah, I mean, looking at that, those days are long gone, but it's great to see, some fighting that's kind of there from time to time. And it is needed, there is always that kind of situation. It's never going to be fully eradicated. I don't think people would ever want to see it fully eradicated. I don't think, obviously, there's the days where people are just buying someone in to not play hockey. They want to be someone who's skillful, that can drop the gloves if required. There's not that kind of lone gunman that they can just bring out to just cause an absolute fight between one person and another. But some players do have that in their locker. And, we really enjoy it. It's something that we always want to see going forward. So looking at it there, which kind of leads me into the officiating, is, again, people obviously have been critiquing officiating and the standards of refereeing. And, we have covered this over the last couple of weeks. Is, there's always going to be moments, there's always going to be flashpoints where things are not going to go, and there's going to be decisions that have either been missed or not been produced the outcome that people expect. And that's the thing, is that we've said this, when people are able to watch the stream and then see it an angle, 3-4 different angles, and see it being repeated. It can be on the screen sometime. It can be, if you're watching from home, you can be watching a stream and they'll show you the super slow-mo angle. They'll do left-right angle, so many different ones, stuff like that. And then, of course, the reaction of the crowd, so many factors. But one thing, obviously, want to caveat with is we did speak to Lee Waters again, a couple of months ago about the new system that's obviously now been implemented by Federation, about having the glasses. And obviously, yes, I know that this is me walking into the joke about officials need glasses, but having the opportunity and the technology now is that everyone can say about football and VAR, and the league bringing in the video replays of what they need to do and the different circumstances that you can use it. But I'm always an advocate of technology, is that my eyesight's not the best, hence the glasses. But you're kind of in a position where, no one's ever going to spot 100% of the time. And that's probably not it, is that, you just want to make sure that it's not in a position that, the players know what's going to go, what's going to ride, and what they're going to be penalised for. Obviously, over a weekend, the worst thing is that one thing is acceptable on a Saturday, is that on a Sunday it's been picked up as every minor that it's been done. And obviously it's that level of consistency that they want to be picked up on. And, a lot of people are asking, would it be good to do ref swaps? I know we've had some referees come in from Europe to obviously have that sample, that opportunity to bring that to the game. And that's the thing, is that it's a mixture, really, is having these, in an ideal world, it'd be great to get these referees from different federations to come into classes and, workshops and conversations with referees and divulge that different level of thought process and bringing everyone to the fore and discuss ideas, seminars. And, that's the thing. I think probably the biggest thing that you could do from all levels is have moments. Obviously it's been posted on social media. Tom Darnell has obviously given his opinion on the hit over the weekend between Storm and Blaze. And I think, that's probably one of the biggest advocate things is that, get everyone to a room. I mean, I do it at work with complaints is, is this a complaint? Is this something that we should be raising? Is this something that should we look at and go forward? Is obviously there, and just have that conversation with people to say, why is this a penalty? Why is this not a penalty? What's your thought process? And having talking in that conversation, it sounds very cliche and sounds very like, this is probably what they're doing, what you're talking about kind of thing. But sometimes in the heat of the moment, these things get missed. I do believe, if they have something that they can do and get all the stuff that's happened at the weekend throughout the leagues and then have a, get it clipped up, get it sent out to everyone. What's your thoughts? What's on your opinion on this? Have a look at it, gauge the thought process. Because the thing is, 20, 30 referees, all different levels, all different aspects, walk of life. And this isn't about the top tier referees that are just doing it week in, week out. It'll be good for the next generation to have conversations with those people and say, what's your thoughts on this? Write a paragraph, write why you think this is, why you think this isn't. And it's going to help people learn and grow and develop, really. And that's what I think everyone wants to see, is that everyone is a big advocate of how well the league is doing and how popular it is. And obviously today coming out with the rankings that the Elite League is the 14th men's league in the world. And that's obviously a tremendous achievement. The attendances are going up. You're seeing more people getting invested in hockey, more and more. There's people that are starting to come in. They're like, have never watched the game before. They're getting obsessed and then just fully embracing the hockey mindset. And, the old guy, back in our day, it wasn't like this. It was, 20 people in a rink and, nothing to the levels it is today, where you've got teams that are getting sellout after sellout, full houses. And it's actually quite amazing to see, how busy it is and how many people are fully embracing hockey. And that's probably the thing, is we talk about, the streams and talk about accessibility, the Netflix of hockey that people say, having one big channel, bringing together all aspects. I've probably said it plenty of times in these 17 episodes about thoughts about, how we can have that information. The only thing that obviously I say that obviously is slightly different is it would be great to have those historical moments and those historical games somewhere, because I've said, people come along and haven't watched the games. They don't know about a player from 10 years ago and, only see a jersey and ask questions like, who's that guy? And then it's like, oh, do you not know about this guy? He was like, da, 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 da. Is, there's not that level of historical books. There's not, if you go searching for it, you can find fights, you can find certain aspects and different bits of games, but it is a quagmire of finding, these classical moments and moments of history that, teams that have won Grand Slams, these teams that have won trophies, these moments that, are so vital to the history of the sport. I mean, Belfast with being, 25 years, there's probably so many moments in those 25 years that we'll start seeing, and the Hall of Fame and all these clips and everything that people want to see. And this is the great thing about retro nights and stuff like that, is people see the jerseys, see the different colours and see, why Steelers releasing a jersey that's got teal on it. That's a different history for a different day. If people don't fully know, they only know Steelers in orange, they're in a position there where it's about educating people and understanding the history of hockey and where these teams have come from and what they used to be and how they've grown, the teams that are no longer with us, the teams that have manifested and evolved and been there, and the histories of players that, there's people that they will not know and that have delivered and brought forward hockey to the masses for years. And that's probably one of the big things that you really want to see. You want everyone to do it, and the more we can do that, the more that we can enjoy it. But obviously, as it's growing ever bigger, there's obviously going to be those questions about technology, bringing different aspects of the game. Do we mic up referees throughout the game, which obviously has been suggested, or also miking them up so they can do as they do in the AHL, where they shout the decision and tell everyone. Of course, most of the teams do it, announcements and stuff like that, but announce the decisions and knowing the fans the reasoning. that's a different conversation for a different day. If people would be happy to hear someone in the background why this has happened, what it's done, it's a tough one where, the sport is going to grow, it's going to get bigger. We just have to be very savvy with what we get and what we don't want to lose along the way, because that is kind of where, if we're going to grow it, we want to make sure that it's growing in the right way at a speed that is acceptable, which you don't want to miss out. You don't want to lose what we already have by the sport going at its natural pace. Is that, there's people in the background that are actively working to make it a big, bigger than it currently is, and it will be. When people are coming through, how often it gets talked about. Obviously the biggest indoor sport in the UK, and it does vex me sometimes when you watch, Sky Sports News, for example. It's transfer deadline day. That's all they're going to talk about. That's all they're going to recycle, and what it's going to do. You see, different podcasts, different blogs, different articles. There is people that are keeping hockey to the masses, local press and everything like that as well. I'd love it. This is the thing, is that I talk about hockey every day. That is my vocation, whether people want to hear it or not. But it shocks me that there's people that don't even know that there's teams, that it's a sport that's actually partaking in this country. Obviously I'm coming outside in, because there's probably sports I don't really know. For the longest time I didn't realise there was basketball in the UK. I just thought it was the Harlem Globetrotters that came over and toured throughout the time. But there's just so many sports, and I remember someone posting, why is the BBC got bowls on, showing a bowls game. And that's the thing, is, wouldn't that be an ample opportunity to put on one of the free-to-air terrestrial channels some kind of highlight package, putting stuff together? And I know, certain teams have deals with putting the games on certain places, the highlight packages that the league do, that teams do. So it's not behind a paywall. Is that every game that happens, they get the highlights out. They're not extended, obviously, depending on, it's just the goals or just action points or certain circumstances. You can get the highlights. And this is the thing, is that, it would be great to have like an hour program, match of the day. And, obviously I saw Zero Pucks Given have started to do the Soccer Saturday version as well. Didn't get a chance because I was at a game to see how well it went, because I thought that was fascinating. Because, social media, this is the thing, is I would love to do more National League stuff throughout the tiers, game predictions or content around that. But I think the biggest problem that is that trying to find at different levels the games that are being played, that's one thing that, with the Elite League you can find those games. And Man's on the Wall post, obviously, what Max does the graphics for, with who's playing when. So that's kind of where I take the information for who's playing, so I kind of have a picture in my head of who's playing. And that's probably the thing, is that we talk about UK hockey. Yes, the predominantly, the Elite League is obviously what most people are here for, conversing wise, but there is talent way down where, it's always good to learn about these players and how they tick and how well they're getting on. And I would love to have the time to delve through elite prospects, watch the videos, not from a scouting point of view, but just to be in a position to, put a post out, who's the next big thing in UK hockey and stuff like that. Is just really aspects like that. And you don't want to be in a position where, it's a position where, I'm very grateful that people, watch the show, follow us on social media and do it. It's just very tough sometimes where, how many teams there are down the pyramid in the league, is that you want to equally talk about them, what they tick, what they're doing in the community, what they bring to people, and how the importance of that life, the volunteers, the what it means to them, where they are in the league, what positions they've got, Basingstoke as well, that's obviously a big thing, kind of see little imprints about what's happening with them and everything like that. And it's tough because obviously if I posted about every single team all down the divisions, I think I'd probably get done for spam on social media of how many posts and everything like that. And I think that's probably the biggest thing, really, is that, this sport is growing. It's, from development level, there's just so many players, there's so many people that are interested in it, that are taking up the sport, taking up the officiating route. Obviously today, Dumfries with volunteers, asking for volunteers for that. It's just, it's growing bigger and bigger and bigger. And, I think we're at the precipice of something big happening. You can feel it. It's just something that's there where in the next couple of years, it's an exciting time to be around hockey. And this obviously might be a terrible prediction that obviously, I could be completely wrong with, but I think we're at this point now where this sport can grow and grow and grow. Of course, not to the level of football and the business deals or anything like that. But where it has an opportunity now that it's got enough clout behind it of how good it can be and showing the masses and having that opportunity that if they promote it right, if they bring it right, it's going to be something that's going to be great and something that's going to be really exciting to be a part of. And that's what we want. The thing is that it's great that people can talk to you and, recognize your face and have a conversation with you about the sport. You just want to see them and just bring them to the forefront of conversation, because that's the thing, is people look at me as some kind of really strange person who talks about hockey at work, which is fine. I can take that on the chin. But that's the thing, is most of the time is taken up by hockey. If it's not watching hockey, it's doing something related to hockey, or playing games on hockey very terribly. At the NHL games, I'm getting better. I can shoot very well, but obviously I'm not great at it. But it was funny how you think about it, because there was for years, played FIFA, knew every player, every transfer, every league. You could talk about who's the top player, who's going to be, on Football Manager, who's going to be the next best thing in 10 years' time. And it's because of the availability of information. There is people that have that knowledge, that have that power to converse and tell us what's going on in the world. And, it's me taking that information. Obviously, Anthony very kindly has just given me a few names to write down conveniently to obviously look at further information of the players that we'll be looking at through the other years. And obviously Dylan did the 5 young netminders that you need to have a look out for us as an article, obviously with the Vikings, and doing the Nottingham Lions commentary, is that there is people that are within the different leagues that have that knowledge, that base where, seek them out. That's the thing, is watch them, listen to them. They write articles, they do podcasts, they produce shows and they present shows. I think that's the thing, is the biggest thing about the podcast side of things is you're in a position where, this is the thing for me, is that, depending on the price, 15, 20 quid, whatever it is if I'm not a game on a Saturday and Sunday, I would love to just tune in on a game of a team that I don't really know and just soak myself up and watching those games. Highlights are highlights. That's what they are. They are showing you a snippet. If the team loses by a certain scoreline, I think the best example is the Buccaneers. For them is, they're very great for the posting of the bingo card. How many goals they score, everything like that. They get penalty shots. There's so much. But I've never seen them play. And that's the thing, is for me, very big help, Stars as well, billing everything there. But, Lions, then the other argument is they're free to view on YouTube. Watch them, pick them up, watch those games. Then you can kind of get that hockey fix. And it's tough because there's not a position where if your team's not playing on for example, they played on Friday, played on Sunday, and you've got that Saturday night, what are you going to do? You're going to go to a game, 20, 30 quid. You're going to get a stream that's 20 odd quid. It's tough, from affordability level, is that I would love nothing more. So obviously pick a game, watch it, learn a bit more about a team, and watch it play. You know, I've done it with European teams. I've done it with whatever access I can get hold of, is to watch these games and have an enjoyment and a fill on it. And that's the thing, is that we don't want people to be pigeonholed and circled into, you know, we're an elite, we watch elite league, we don't know anything about the national league, you know, and vice versa. As you further go down, who are these players and stuff like that, and just playing catch up of what's happening, because there's a hell of a lot of talent, you know, not just on the ice, off the ice, that is going to be the future. And that's the thing, is that's not just the boys, that's the girls. You know, that's the thing, is the biggest advocate really is, you know, not knowing much about the under 18s, under 20s, and all those different levels, but, you know, won gold recently. So these are names, if you don't know anything about them, you don't know what they're all about, you should do, because they're coming to the forefront and they're showing the next generation what they can do. And that's where these building blocks are, that everyone has a hockey hero that gets them to go on the ice, learn to skate, play. You know, you look at generationally, you know, you look at the players that are around, you know, there's stalwarts, you know, like Clark, Dowd, Jono, Farmer. You know, there's just so many names that you could wrap off, that there's probably people playing now that were, I mean, sorry, I'm making them sound old, where they probably watched those players play starting out, and they were their heroes, that they saw them as mascots or on training camps and stuff like that, is going to build that next generation. The people we're watching now is getting the next generation of hockey fans, someone who's watching it now. You can go to a rink and there's young kids there that there's a possibility in 10 years' time you'll see them on the ice. And, you know, Sheffield, with the pathways and everything that they're doing and the youth opportunity, this is where it's going to be. There's more and more people that are going to skating events, more training camps, more opportunities that teams have now, where they can start putting on clinics, start utilising the academies and start bringing players in. Because we talk about GB, where the next line of players are going to come, and where this is the next Brits, especially with the import limits, and make sure and you have good talented young Brits that can make a mark and play a hell of a lot of games and amass a lot of points. That's what we need. That's where the strength's going to go, because, as I've said, you know, it's great. Player comes in from Canada, is a hero for a season or two, goes, retires, and it's obviously his last stopping point. But we get into a situation now with, not just in the Elite League, not just in the National, there are players now that have forging a career, that are playing year in, year out, that are amassing points. And, you know, historically, they're just delivering and just moving around, that, you know, even in their stalwart years, that they're still delivering points and still playing. And I get, you know, obviously the money side of things, and, you know, having two jobs and playing, and, you know, is it easier just to work full time and give up hockey altogether? There's stories, you know, where people have had to take time out of the sport to financially and deliver. And it's sad, because all these people love the sport. They can play, they can skate, which is my downfall, because I can't skate. But, you know, it's going to be a really good couple of years, that obviously seeing what they're doing and what they're not resting on the laurels. That's the key thing, more than anything, is now they're looking to bring the younger players in from all age groups, male and female, to deliver the sport that it can possibly be. And the moment it all clicks and it does that, it's going to be a hell of a time to be. You know, there's going to be the next generation coming in, there's going to be more activity, there's going to be more conversation. I still say, you know, if GB gets to the Olympics one day, that's where I think it's going to kind of bring a lot of media attention to the forefront of where it needs to be. And that's where I think it kind of works, is that, you know, if it's success on the national stage, that makes a lot of sense that they do it. We kind of feel like that's there. And I think obviously the bigger advocate is that, you know, there is teams that, you know, you've got to look at, you know, from a level of what they can do to promote. Of course, you know, that's the thing, is, you know, teams do have that opportunity with two ways. They do have affiliated teams, if I can affiliate, you know what I'm trying to say. Anyway, but they have teams that obviously they have a link with, that are in the national area, that they can locally and do more with. You know, obviously point with the Lions and the Panthers, they have that connective tissue with Lucas Sheldon. They do play on the big ice sometimes. And yeah, of course, that's the thing is that, from a promotion point of view, that the bread and butter, the target audience that most people will watch is the Panthers. But, Lions do have the deal where if you're a season ticket holder, you get reduced rates on tickets to go to the game as well. And I think that's the thing is that the selling of tickets, the selling, the financially that goes through, everything needs to be brought on as a media strategy and marketing towards those teams. But yeah, that's the thing is that, Sheffield, if you're not in Sheffield, you're not going to an away game, go and watch Steel Dogs, Steel Dogs and the Scimitars. And there's just areas that are like that as well. Dundee with the Rockets. There's just that opportunity that, the thing is that from a social media presence, is sometimes the world of good of retweet can do. If you've got 50,000 followers on Twitter or higher or on Facebook, it's not about just natural progression of one particular post. It's, a retweet can do the world of good. Is that, more eyes on the product, more people can start following it, the more can do it. This is the thing is that, for us, people might not look and have that visibility that we might have, but having, for example, BBC, ITV, Sky Sports, they've got millions and millions of followers and engagement and reach that people don't have. Is just if they can retweet it, if they can look at the local catchment areas and just start bringing stuff to the forefront and bring things to the table. I think that's probably a key area that, it would do the world of good. And it's not something that's going to cost an absolute lot. It's not going to really break the bank with relation to doing something like that, but it's just having that ideology of being in such a position where you do something like that, it will just make a bigger thing for everyone involved. And if they can do that, I think that's going to break the mold, and then other teams will start following it and other situations will bring that to the forefront. But, that's probably the key, where if they can do it, that will give the next natural steps. Because looking at it is, you probably can count it on one hand, really. You're watching the game there, social media, really, is you're going to be looking at the Elite League, you're going to look at the teams individually and the National League and all the information that are there. It's that kind of obviously that third tier of what can be brought to it that adds that extra, really, that, can kind of bring everything. Because, big example with the Lions and everything like that is, from an affordability point of view, is that, a lot of families, you've got 2 kids, 3 kids, whatever many amount of kids you've got, not being prejudiced with anyone, but there it's, ticket numbers, go to Nottingham, 20, 30 quid, per Adam. Obviously, seeing about the prices, conversation about arena prices for food and drink, merchandise, everything like that. Obviously, all caveats. Saturday night, the hockey could easily cost you over £100. But, got the option, Lions, free stream on YouTube. Get a takeaway, make them a sandwich while you're at home. But going to the rink, obviously the biggest advocate really that is, if they can try and get earlier fixtures. I mean, that's probably the one that there is that if you look at that sweet spot of what time you want, problem is, Nottingham play on a Sunday, 4:00 face off, finish at 7:00. Kids are knackered after game 1, don't want to stay around for game 2. So you get the diehard fans that want their hockey fix, absolutely fine. But, these games when, Saturday afternoon, big rink, 2:00 before the game at 7:00. Other adage is that obviously if Panthers at home, then you've got to kind of be in town, cost money, back of the game, kids are knackered. But obviously if you can hit that sweet spot of having a game on that's early mid-afternoon on a Saturday or a Sunday where you've not got another game on top, it's a cheaper experience. It's a chance to get people through the door and, brings word of mouth and gets more seats on it. Great for the players because they're playing over a game with bigger attendances and can read those situations and not playing to silence or anything like that. So, and obviously with the commentaries and stuff like that, great for coaching, great for feedback, to hear what's being said throughout the game and perception and thoughts about it. Because obviously 60-minute hockey game with no commentary or anything like that, just trying to read what's going on, is probably one of those tough things, really. Obviously no background music or anything like that, but just to pinpoint moments and do it. It's a great thing what commentary can do with people's thoughts and opinions throughout the game that obviously you can take on board, or obviously if not, then just obviously pointers going forward. But that's the thing is, we want it to grow. We want it to be as big as it possibly can be. And it's a coming, it is a coming. And that's probably the big question that, is it going to be in the short term, or is it going to be a natural growth progression? And the way we're going, I think obviously there is stuff on the horizon. I think it's going to be another big playoffs again. Obviously, people have asked me to give my predictions of who's going to win the playoffs. Too early. Still not going to tell you. Give me a few weeks. I'll give you a better prediction. But, the events are getting bigger. The attendance are getting bigger. Looking at the Challenge Cup final, wherever that gets played, it's going to be probably a big sellout. Obviously, see when the dates are finalised with relation to that, how they're going to proceed with that. Of the 8 teams that if it currently sits where it is, it's going to be some really good hockey teams. We're going to be in a position where, there's not going to be absolute certainties of how it's going to proceed, but, playoffs is always the hottest event in town. Seeing the Coventry ticket coming through, obviously with the national playoffs as well, the way that they're doing it with the allocations and where people are sitting, it's going to be a busy, really fun event. Downside, obviously, is that it's the same time as playoffs, so 2 places at once. Really, if they could do it over 2 weekends, obviously that would be a really big thing to go and see what it's all about with the guys over there. But there is that ample opportunities. There's the showcases. There's so many events that are coming through where the hockey's there. The talent's there. The players are getting younger that are coming through the door. There's players that you can get behind that obviously are in the younger part of their stage of their career. They're only going to get better and better as the years go on, playing against players of really good quality, imports from the lower leagues that are obviously having that chance to play, but making the move and the step up with 2 ways, depending on the teams, if they're utilising it and bringing it to the fore. So, on the note of leaving the show for another week, I think obviously enjoy these moments that we've got, because I think it's going to hit, the crescendo is going to hit big. And when it does, I think we're going to be in a very good place of, money coming through the doors, better quality of Brit players playing in the leagues, better imports, and just an opportunity now really to savour the hockey and get into, the next generation, but the golden generation. I think if you're a wrestling fan, I think obviously my argument is that we're going to hit the Attitude Era of UK hockey, which obviously is the weirdest analogy that I've probably done in a long time, but I'm going to stick with it. But I think it's good. But yeah, no, thank you very much for the questions this week. Obviously it's a really big help that, everyone who gets involved, engaged, and tells us the good and the bad of what we're doing and critiquing. Obviously, thank you for everyone who told me that I needed to get a haircut and shave my beard. Obviously I have done, because obviously people said I looked homeless, which is, it's fine, at the end of the day. I was trying to go for playoff look, but apparently that wasn't the way forward. So do appreciate everyone's feedback and thoughts of how that is. Really appreciate everyone who follows us on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Spotify, YouTube. If you're not subscribing already, it'd be greatly appreciated if you can like and subscribe this. It'd be really good. Watch it. Tell your friends. Tell your family. Tell your dog, cat, goldfish, anyone who will listen. Obviously, Spotify, if you're not, give us a 5-star review. That'd be awesome if you can. If you're listening on Spotify or Apple, greatly appreciate and follow us on there. And, just thank you everyone who takes the time to listen and put it with me for an hour and a bit in your week. So thank you very much. Everyone have a good evening, what's left of it. And I'll see you all next week.